Hey guys, this is Colin from Blackjack Apprenticeship, and I'm here with HitA7. Thanks for being on the podcast with us.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me, Colin.
Yeah. So I can't even remember how we first met. Do you remember how we first met?
Yeah, I actually do. So I think it was around the end of 2012 or thereabouts, where I was looking for blackjack resources online, and all of a sudden I come across this post or ad where it says group of Christian blackjack card counters beat casinos for millions or something like that to that effect. I was like, whoa, what is this? So that's how I first heard of Blackjack Apprenticeship, and then from there I had joined the site. But before that, I actually contacted you through an old church forum that it was Mars Hill.
Okay,
because
yeah.
I think there was like a in-church forum that you were part of, and I happened to be part of the same network down in Southern California. So I was like, whoa, wait a minute, is this Colin from Blackjack? And sure it was. So
wow, so it's like multiple degrees of overlap.
yes, definitely.
That's awesome. And but you were actually, even before that stuff, you were already into card counting, right?
Yeah, I was, and I was at a particular point where I was like, is this something I want to do? You know, is this something I really want to put more time and effort into and start really putting in hours? Or should I not? Should I go back to school? I mean, it was like one of those things, like, what am I going to do? And then I actually had the question of, is it even right for me to do this, right? So, so that's kind of how I remember hooking up with BJA.
So how did you actually hear about or get into card counting?
I think I was one of the people that bloomed out of the 21 movie.
Okay.
And I had actually played blackjack before that, just on a recreational level. And for some reason I thought, at some point I would like to look further into this. And then the movie 21 comes around, and it was a reminder, oh, that's right, I'd really like to look into this. So that's when I started looking more into it, to play blackjack from an advantage player point.
So I didn't know that you were a recreational player before that.
Yeah, I was. Not too much. But yeah, whatever time I would come to Vegas, I would actually play, a few hours of blackjack. And I actually was a winner as a ploppy.
Oh,
so,
really?
So that's dangerous.
Man. Yeah. Well, some people start out winners, but it doesn't last for long. So why were you coming to Vegas, or do you not want to share?
No, just right when I graduated college, I guess. It was one of those times where I went from being a broke college student to actually get a job in the engineering field, which going again from a broke college student to, wow, I'm actually making pretty good money here, relatively speaking. I'm like, let's go to Vegas. So
even before that, did you gamble?
No, not really.
Well,
I mean, I didn't have the money, but
actually, I know that you did, because you said last night when you were a kid.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so growing up, it was a lot of times playing marbles. Back in Mexico, I grew up in Mexico for like the first 10, 11 years of my life. So yeah, playing marbles or betting on cockfights, roosters.
Wow.
So yeah.
You didn't mention that part.
Yeah, I did. Now that I remember it, there was it's just the culture over there, it's what kids do. I guess very different from what kids do nowadays. But yeah, I remember that I had a little gamble in me.
Do you think that you had any sort of edge at either marbles or betting on cockfights?
Marbles, yes, because I was pretty good. But cockfights, no, not at all.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you think you had any advantage play tendencies before card counting?
I think so, yes. Some of them I might not be too proud of, but yes, definitely. I was looking for a way in which, I don't know, I guess an example would be like going through school. It's like, hey, is there a way to get the exams from last year?
Oh, yeah.
They never said I couldn't use them, you know. So, like, what are the questions like? Who's, right? And then by that same token, again, some things I'm not proud of, to where it's graded on a curve. So how can I throw off the other students?
Oh, my
right?
God. Yeah.
So
that's funny. You were telling me your Bed Bath & Beyond.
Oh, yeah. So lately I've kind of gotten into, I guess I tell my wife this is when you know that I've kind of grown up now, where I'll go to Bed Bath & Beyond and I'm like, hey, I could use one of those things. You know, it's kind of that shift in mentality. But yeah, so they have this 20% off coupons, which they send, I guess, to everybody regularly. So if there's, you know, a purchase that I'm going to make, which is 2 or more pretty expensive items, since the coupons is only for one item, buy the first item, you know, whatever, check out, and then come back and buy the second item with the other coupon, because they never said I can do that. So
So I heard that and it made me think, oh, I'm sure you had some advantage play tendencies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even before casinos or blackjack or anything. You know, here's a move that we used to do. I don't know if it still works, but Home Depot accepts coupons from anyone.
Oh, competitor coupons, yeah.
So, but it doesn't specify competitors. It just says they accept any coupons. So we would use the 20% Bed Bath & Beyond on like a high-end piece of, you know, like if you're buying like a $500, you know, at the time Ben and I, we had bought this fourplex and we were remodeling it, and so we were buying stuff like crazy. So if there's something expensive, we'd, you know, use the 20% off.
20% off is a lot of money.
Yeah, maybe $100 off a $500 item.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not. That's their rules. We're playing by their rules.
That's right. You gotta read the fine text, and if you're not in violation, then hey, even if you are, just try it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It doesn't hurt to try. So you mentioned that you were telling your wife about the high end kitchen gadgets. So how does your wife and your family feel about, or how did they at first about blackjack?
Well, my wife's definitely on board. And at first, when I started playing, I guess, in a more serious manner, she had some questions, but I was able to kind of talk it through with her, and she's always been supportive. So it's one of those things where when I talk to people that want to go into card counting, or even if they're already in card counting, but there's a conflict with their spouse, my number one advice is don't do it. You know, it's really not worth, because then what are you going to do? You're going to end up, because you want to get out there and play and get some hours in, more than likely you're going to end up lying, like, hey, so yeah, I'm going to be at such and such a place, and you're really not. And then if you're found out, it's like, well, what else are you lying to me about? So it could be a potential mess. Yeah. So yeah, I'm thankful that my wife's pretty much been on board. Now, my in-laws, at first, they were not. I could think of one specific time when my wife was pregnant with her first child, and she was about 8 months, almost 8 months pregnant. And during that time, so that I wouldn't leave her for the whole day, I mean, for like days on end, I would take day trips to where I would leave. I live in the LA area, so I would leave from the LA area out of the Ontario airport the earliest possible. Sometimes they have flights to Vegas going out as early as 5:30, 6 a.m. So catch one of those flights here, get my car rental, and just, you know, hit the floor running, and then take the latest flight back home, which will be as late as like 10 p.m. So that gives me pretty much a whole day. So one of those times, I guess my in-laws showed up unexpectedly, and, you know, they're just there with my wife, just chit-chatting, and they asked, so where's your husband? And she's like, yeah.
Gambling in Vegas.
Yeah, so my wife, you know, she's that type of person that she cannot even tell a white lie, you know, let alone lying what I'm doing and where I'm at. So she said, yeah, he's in Vegas for the day. He'll be back later. So I later got word that specifically my father-in-law was not too impressed with that, And I mean, putting myself in his shoes, let's say that, I have my daughter's pregnant with this guy's kid and he's out in Vegas gambling. I mean, it just doesn't smell right, right?
Yep.
So understandably so, he was upset. But then later I had a chat with him, and I actually handed him a copy that you gave me of the Holy Rollers documentary. And he was like, okay, there may be something here. Okay. So yeah, he's come a long way, and that documentary was actually an instrumental part of it.
Well, I'll consider ourselves trailblazers since we got to have the family, the in-laws, and everyone freak out at us first. But it worked out. It worked out okay for us, and everybody came on board eventually.
Yep.
So you brought up a good point, which is that how important it is to have your spouse on board. Mm-hmm. I mean, and this doesn't just apply to card counting.
Yeah. I mean, anything you're going to be
any major decision,
especially involving money.
Yes. So what we did with the church team is we actually would have, if there was someone that was interested in joining the team, we'd have them and their spouse over for dinner.
Yep.
Because it was one thing if the husband is like, hey, I want, or vice versa. If there was a woman that was going to join the team, having her husband, because we just knew how important it was. And sometimes they could be like, oh yeah, my wife's on board, and it's that they think they're.
That's right. Then when it comes down, all right, it's time to go. Let's go do this. Oh, yeah. Sorry, or I can only be there one day, or whatever.
Yeah, and someone might even say, oh yeah, I'm on board, but you can tell by their body language, and you ask enough questions, and we just knew it was so important because if their spouse is going to be gone for a 4-day trip, if the spouse isn't on board, it's really going to be it's going to be really tough on both of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we don't want that. We didn't want that strain on people's marriage. There's a lot of ways to make a living.
Yep.
So you saw 21. You got interested. When you decided, hey, I think I want to, become a card counter. What was your goal initially?
I think it was ultimately a way of making some side income. Then I'm thankful to actually have a pretty well-paying job in what I do. I'm in the engineering field, but that part of me of like, hey, is there a side hustle I could do? Some people sell insurance, some people sell Tupperware, and I'm like, why not play blackjack? Yeah. And also that kind of stick it to the man kind of mentality, I guess.
Where do you think you got that stick to the man mentality?
I'm not sure. I think that growing up, I moved a lot. My parents moved a lot. So at every new neighborhood or every new school that I was at, I always felt like I was a little bit disadvantaged. First, when I moved to the U.S. because I didn't speak English. And later, just being the new kid in the block, and it creates a certain level of, you're like not belonging to the group of kids or the friends or at school. I'm always the one being alone or sitting alone during lunch. So that kind of gave me the feeling that I'm in some way a little bit disadvantaged, and I don't like that. So how can I turn that around? So maybe it had to do something with that.
That's really interesting. I've been thinking a lot more about origin stories. And one of the things I kind of realized, I was talking with my buddy from high school, and he's not a card counter, but he's known me as long as almost anybody. And he and I were talking, he was reminding me of, the things that we did. We were always kind of outside the box and willing to do things that weren't wrong, but weren't traditional.
That's right.
And we were getting in trouble for doing things that weren't wrong. One really stupid example, we never got in trouble for this, but we used to, we just thought it was hilarious. And this was before like the Jackass movies, but we would do what we called shop dropping, where we would take clothes that we didn't want anymore, and then bring them to the mall and put them on the rack, and then watch. And we'd watch and wait to see people, comb through the rack and look. And I remember one time someone, they get to the item of clothing that we had shop dropped. The opposite of shoplifting, so it's not illegal. Yeah. And someone gets to it. I'm like, oh, what do you think of that sweater? And she's like, oh, yeah, this is really nice. I think my husband would like this. And we just thought it was incredible. Now it would be on YouTube, but we just laughed ourselves.
Yeah, that's funny.
Or we would get random things gift wrapped at the mall because they would have like free gift wrapping. And we would get like clipboards and, water bottles gift wrapped because it was stupid, but we thought it was funny. So more importantly, back to blackjack. So you're interested. How did you actually train?
I basically began with an app. It's out there. It's just card counting. I think that's Card Counter. I'm sorry, that's the name of the app. Card Counter app. And basically just takes you through, learning the basics of. In this case, I chose high-low, and it takes you from like the rudimentary of how to start learning it by the cards having the number on them assigned to them. Neutral or -1 or +1. And then there's different levels, so I just started going through each level and seeing if that's something I could keep count of.
And but that was just
to get
I think
started.
I've seen that app. That's basically like flipping cards over.
Pretty much, yeah. So I did that, and then after I got a hold of your website, then I started going through a little bit more in detail on the drills that you had there at the time. And then just plain old memorizing of the charts. I mean, what the basic strategy is, what the deviations are, and then practicing on kitchen table, just more of the traditional style.
So after training yourself for a bit, at what point did you feel like you were ready to actually take it into the casinos?
So I actually took a gradual approach. I think I did like basic strategy and starting to do the running count. And then I kind of wanted to test that in a casino environment, but without playing. Just kind of stand behind the players and observe the cards and kind of play out in my head, like, what would I do?
Yeah.
Or was a running count. So that's the first step I took to see how I would feel in the environment, get a little bit of a taste. But I really didn't play maybe until 4 or 5 months when I started just playing red chips to get a more feel. Okay, now I feel a little bit comfortable. Now let's see what it's like to actually sit down and play. So I think within 6 months I was kind of testing the waters.
And what kind of bankroll did you start with?
I started with 5,000.
Okay,
so
that's not a bad kind of red chip starting bankroll.
Yep. So I started with 5,000. And there was the times where I would bet a little bit over what, my tolerance was. But even when I had the $5,000 bankroll, I've always thought of it as a, what is that word?
Replenishable.
Yeah, replenishable bankroll.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too worried if I did lose it. Now, when I did make the jump into playing green chips, the first time that I was playing a 1 by 25 to 2 by 150, the first trip that I took that I did that spread, I lost my ass.
Man.
Big time. So it was like my first major loss of I basically wiped out my trip bankroll of 5,000. So I was like, maybe this is not for me after all.
Oh yeah.
Having the first big loss is just that punch or kick in the gut that you feel.
Yeah, man. Sometimes after I've had to remind myself of the success that I and the teams I've been a part of have had, because when you're losing, it can feel like, does this work?
Yeah.
Like, do I really know what I'm doing here? Have I lost my edge?
That's right. Yep.
But so you started with 5,000, and what did maybe the first few months or first 6 months look like?
So once I started playing, I guess in the sense of being serious about it, I had a pretty good run. I remember the first year, I made like 9,000.
That's awesome. So you
profit. So
yeah,
I definitely had a very good start.
And did you just triple your bankroll, or did you take some of it out?
I didn't I didn't put everything back into the bankroll, but by the second year I was playing, I was then doubling it. So I started playing with 10. Bring it up to now, it's been like 4 years. I'm playing with 20K, but again, replenishable. So,
yeah.
It's, I guess not everybody does it this way, but basically the way I do it is I have 20K on hand, and if I'm having a streak of winning sessions, then that's my money. You know, I just leave the 20K intact. If I'm having a bad run, kind of like I did in the last month, then I replenish that within a month or two.
Yeah.
So that's basically how I've managed my bankroll.
But you track all your results, so it's not just I think I've been winning.
No, not at all. And I mean, especially when I lose, right? I really know when I'm losing.
Oh yeah, to the penny. Yep. So just to break it down for people listening, if you don't know what a replenishable bankroll is, let's say that like HitA7, you've got a day job, or you've got some income coming in. So what that means is you don't have to have an untouchable bankroll that if you lose that money, you're retiring from card counting until you save up another bankroll. What you can actually do is, maybe the other way to think about it is, you've got a $20,000 bankroll, but you can play with a little higher risk than you might feel like.
Correct. Yes.
So if, like, for example, when I was playing full time, I wouldn't have wanted to play with more than 1% risk of ruin, because if I lose my bankroll,
that's it.
I'm going back to waiting tables or something.
Yeah.
But actually, before that, we played with a little higher risk. I think closer to 5%, because it kind of felt like, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained, and we all had enough income to live off of. So it felt,
given the worst case scenario, you would be covered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit more about. You've got a day job, a family, and you're an advanced player. How do you balance all three of those?
Yeah, I think it goes back to having a plan in this case with my wife, of, okay, here's the days that it looks like I could go out and play. So it's about just communicating. At times at work, I also get very busy. I do have to travel for work. So when I have to travel, typically that means I need to prepare for whatever meeting I'm going to be attending. It's just the nature of my job. So that takes a lot of time. And then when there's a little bit of an off time, like right now, this is the week of Thanksgiving, it gets a little bit slower. So then I take advantage of that. 2 days in a row, just go out there and hit it as hard as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I guess to answer your question, it's just a matter of planning and communicating with your spouse, on what you're doing. I think it would be a little bit easier if somebody's just single person, without having to be at home or communicating that to your spouse. But in either case, I think you still need to plan.
Yeah.
Not just just be willy-nilly about it. Oh, I guess I'll go today, or it's having that plan in place. And
so when you've taken money out, like profits, have you had any goal for that, or is it just throw it into savings? Or
so interesting you asked that. Last year, early last year actually, I was able to pretty much pay off all my debt. And a big portion of paying off my debts, which is my wife's car, my car, and a little bit of credit card debt that we had, is thanks to blackjack.
Wow.
So that was our first goal for me and my wife. If this is working out, let's try to pay that off. So yeah, I mean that's been a way in which I've benefited from this side hustle.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I buy music gear, production equipment, and I flip that. So that's another way
side hustle.
Correct. And the advantage of having a replenishable bankroll is like this. Actually, this week I came across a deal for a really nice compact PA system, state of the art, very, very high quality. And basically, the guy that was selling it, he wanted to sell all of it together. He didn't want to break it down. So, relatively speaking, for somebody that would like to have that, they typically will not have that kind of money laying around.
Yeah.
And since the guy didn't want to break it down and sell it speaker by speaker or microphone by microphone, then I'm at an advantage because I have that money on hand. And give him a low ball offer, and then he wants to raise that a little bit. At the end of the day, I got it, and now I have that on hand so that I can flip it, and I don't mind how long it takes. I could sell it piece by piece, and at the end come back with the profit. So it gives that flexibility too of if you have that money on hand and you have a replenishable bankroll, where is there anything else out there that I could be using this money for?
Totally.
So that's an example of how I've benefited from it.
That's awesome. And, I think in general, I don't recommend that people use blackjack to pay off credit card debt, but it sounds like you had a good plan, you had a good income, and this was a way not to kind of like, take this huge risk on trying to pay off credit card debt, but a way to actually expedite paying it off.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yep.
And you've been counting cards for, is it 5 years now?
I think it's going to be 5 years, and I think in legitimately 4 years, because for like the first year, it was kind of on and off, so I didn't really take too many exact records of my play.
And so you've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. And do you only count cards now?
Maybe.
Okay.
I've been fortunate enough to be let into a couple of other advantages. As far as blackjack, I mean hole carding. Yeah, it's one of them. So there's been a couple opportunities where I've read some literature, I've done some research online, and I had started to look for hole carding opportunities, and lo and behold, the time that I least expected it, it was there. So hole carding was one of them, and
well, we don't need to talk about specifics, but I guess the reason I ask, what would you say? What percentage of what you do is card counting? Like
the majority, still the vast majority. Yeah.
Well, I think that's helpful to hear. I've interviewed people that do whole carding. Like we interviewed South AP, and he did a number of things, and interviewed Bob Dancer, who does video poker. Yep. It's interesting. I just like to ask because one, it helps people realize that there are advantages outside of just the blackjack table.
Yep.
I mean, we've exploited cashback.
Yep.
I've done a tiny bit of hole carding, but 99% of what I've done is card counting. But just for people to have their also Richard Munchkin, I interviewed him, and he's done all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah. I'd love to be a fly on the wall when that guy's talking about his secret games. He always said, "Hey Richard, what's a secret game?"
Yeah. He's a really intelligent guy, a really nice guy. But he's probably not going to tell any of us about.
Yeah, hey, do you know where the printing machine for money is?
Yeah, exactly. So, do you have? Well, I know you do have at least one creative way to avoid detection. Perhaps with your heritage?
Yes,
do you
absolutely.
mind sharing that?
Sure, and I think there's opportunity for others out there to think of this opportunity. So basically, since English is my second language, I have a native language, which I was able to milk the strip casinos for a long time. You know how they have that sweet dealer Stenson Soft 17 double deck? So I was able to milk those for almost 2 years by playing the I'm just a tourist card, and I don't speak English. So I remember a specific time I was at the MGM playing one of these games, and the pit boss is talking to some other guy, and they're talking about me, and they're basically saying, "So who is this guy? Oh, I don't know. He's maybe a short-lived high roller that's going to bust out here soon or something like that." And I'm listening to everything he's saying, so I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad that's what you think, you know. So,
Yeah.
There's been other times where they'll actually bring a host that speaks the language I speak, and they're trying to get me into getting a player's card or whatnot. But yeah, that's definitely an opportunity out there if you do speak at least one other language. And you know it well, right? Because they might bring somebody that speaks your language, and if you can't talk shop, then you're busted, right?
Yeah.
And that's definitely an opportunity you could use, so that the attention goes from, this is just a tour. This might be a card counter to this is a tourist. You know, we don't have to care too much about them. So,
do you think that there's a little bit of a
stereotype? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because unfortunately, right? But if you sit down next to me, you're going to be, if all things being equal, you sit next to me and we start playing, probably the heat is going to be on you.
Yeah,
because you're a white male. You know.
Yep.
You fit the profile.
Yep. I remember getting a hold of the casino. The surveillance guide to card counting or something like that.
Yep.
And it gives a description of a...
It's like, that's me.
Oh, yeah. Just to the T. Yeah. And, you know, what am I going to do? Like, not be white or not be young or wait till I'm old to start counting cards? No. Yeah. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised I've gotten in as many hours in my career as I have at high-limit places or whatever. But I also know a few of the guys from the church team. We had one guy that was East Indian, and he had successful trips at casinos that no one else on our team could have such success at. And I remember going on a trip with one of my really good buddies, John, and he's Hawaiian, and I got flyered everywhere, and I was losing. And he got hour after hour in winning, you know, like 40 or 50 grand on the trip. And, you know, maybe it's just because he was a fresh name, fresh face. But I think
it does help.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely. So exploit it. If anybody out there is willing to it's able to pull that move, I highly recommend it.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So do you have any highs or lows from your career that you'd be willing to share?
I think the highs would be where I can experience the fruits of blackjack. Right, ultimately, it is a side hustle, and you want to be able to make money. And I'm not really bound to an employer, so to speak. Right, I really enjoy that freedom in this side job. And then I guess the lows would be, there's been a couple of times that I go on a trip for more than 2 days. And I do miss my family a lot. Yeah. So that's something that kind of really gets to me. Yeah. There's actually been times where I'm ready to go on a trip, and if it's not too far of a trip and it's a local trip, and I'm actually not feeling like leaving my family, I actually make the call like the day out. You know what? I'm actually not going to go. I'm going to stay here.
That's awesome.
So... that's. But then the times that I do go, because it's already like a planned trip, my airfare is already bought. It's a little bit tough. Yeah. To leave my wife and kids behind. Yeah. So I think those would be the pros and cons, right? Flexibility and having the freedom of whenever you want to play and what places to go to, and then the downs that you do have to leave your family behind for that time, right?
Well, I think it's important for people to hear. You know, a lot of the people that I've interviewed or talked with, they're doing it professionally, but that's not the only way to do it. And I tell a lot of people, as a hobby, in a lot of ways, is better than doing it full time. I mean, I did it full time for years, and I'm thankful for it. But as a hobby, you don't have the pressures.
Correct.
Of like, I have to go play.
Yeah,
right?
I got to pay my mortgage, so I got to go play. Yeah.
And you don't have just the pressures of all the hours getting in, and I tell people card counting is a trade, and I'm really thankful for it as a trade. But the cool thing about trade is you can pick it up or put it down. It sounds like you and your wife have figured out what your goals are and aligned card counting with that, or advantage play with that. And so it's fun for me to hear about that. It really, for people listening to be able to hear about that so they can figure out. I say at every boot camp, we want to help you figure out how card counting fits into your life, or if it doesn't. And if it doesn't fit into your life, then don't do it. If it does, you want to make sure that you're doing it in a way that really furthers your goals.
That's right.
Rather than holding you back.
So one other thing I'd like to mention about the not so fun aspect of it, which, I want to be realistic and I want to put the clear picture out there. Last year, 2016, I did have a losing year. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we may think of this as a glamorous Hollywood-style 21 the movie lifestyle, and it is not. So I did play 2016. I played about 220 hours.
Wow.
And I did well towards the beginning of those hours, but by the time the year was said and done, I lost. Yeah, it was like a $15,000 or $16,000 loss for the year. Wow! So that was a pretty tough pill to swallow. So and I remember people talking about, hey, if you do this long enough, you're going to have a period where you're going to have a losing streak. So prep for it. And in the back of my mind, I was like, that might happen, but I'm doing pretty good. I don't think that's going to hit me. Lo and behold, So, if somebody out there is experiencing a losing streak, mine was again in the net hours like 215, 220 hours, and it was a net loss. So. Yeah.
Well, if you're having a losing streak, the first thing I'd say is make sure that you do have a winning game. Correct. Get it evaluated. But you knew you'd had several years of success before that. But it can happen. We just had Tommy Hyland speak this weekend at our boot camp, and he said in the I think 38 years now he's been doing it. He's had 2 losing years, and he said there were years that he didn't play as many hours as some of the others. But it does have. 225 hours. That's pretty rough. I don't think I've had a losing streak that long yet, but I'm glad that you've managed to keep your composure. Yeah, that's pretty tough. This is a pretty trying time. Yeah, that's why a lot of times when somebody will, because I don't tell people that I do card counting, but if it does come up, I talk a little bit about it, and when people show interest, my first response to them, my first comment is like, "Dude, don't do it." And in a sense, for me, that's like the first test. If somebody's really insistent, right, then after I advise you not to do it, it seems like you really want to try it. So go learn basic strategy and go check out BJA and see if that's really for you. Yep. But it's one of those things where you have to keep in mind it's not like the movies, right? Yes. Where you're going to have this big rush and everything's going to work out. Yeah. It is not that way. Yeah. In 21, I remember the only time they lose is when he got mad. Yeah. Loses control of his emotions and then he starts losing. It's like, no. You can be in perfect control of your emotions. Right. You can play perfectly and it's not going to work out. I think that's not a bad strategy to try to dissuade people from it because there's so much misunderstanding with it that it can attract people that think it's going to be something it's not. We all want a shortcut, and card counting is a great trade, but it's no shortcut. Yeah, it's a long run. Remember, that's where I was talking about the long run. And speaking about having emotions and being just pissed off, yesterday I was sharing to a couple of the guys that it recently hit me because I was sharing with them that I generally get pissed off when I'm losing. Like, man, why? The count was so high and the dealer pulled a 5-card 21. How could this be? But then I'm starting to think, well, if I think about it, it's actually working out the way it should work out. Yeah. Yes. I just got to wait for the long run. Yes. So that kind of gave me some like a slap in the face to myself. It's like, dude, just relax. It's going to work out in the end, right? Yeah, you're getting upset that the math is working. Correct. Yeah. So I was like, how stupid is that? So. Yeah. I tell people that you can't avoid the losses. Yeah. And the good news is you can't avoid the wins if you're playing perfectly. Doing it right. Yeah, it's gonna work out. Yeah. There's no way to feel no emotion.
Correct.
But getting upset when the math is working out.
That's right. Yeah.
Is a little self-defeating.
Correct.
So do you have any funny or crazy stories of things you've seen or heard in a casino? This is something I've been wanting to ask people more recently, just because it is such a unique job.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of pretty outrageous things. I remember one time I was at a particularly low roller casino where they didn't even have the 500 chips out, and this guy gets there with just wads of cash, and he wants to bet purple chips. So he asks them if they have those, and they take a little while. So I'm walking the floor a little bit, I'm gonna get some food, and by the time I come back, sure enough, this guy has a couple of stacks of these purple chips, and this is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. He is playing with purple chips, $500 a hand, sometimes 2 spots of it, and I just stood there and witnessed this, where he is playing in the most outrageous manner, hitting his 16s against a 2. Just completely. And for a second, I thought, does this guy know something I don't? Like, this guy is... And to this day, when I think back, I'm like, is there something I missed that this guy was doing that I'm not aware of?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, needless to say, he ended up losing all of it. I came back later, and he had lost all his chips. So by what I saw, I mean, he went there and literally lost probably close to $100,000.
Oh my gosh!
Betting purple chips and playing in the most outrageous way, which, I mean, yeah, that was pretty crazy.
So he lost. If he's betting he lost 100 bets.
Correct.
Oh man.
I mean, over time, right? It was like a couple hours where I went to the next casino. I came back, and by the time I came back, he had just a short stack, maybe 5 chips or something.
I remember a couple boot camps ago, there's a guy at our boot camp who said he'd the night before been watching a guy play in the high limits room, and the guy playing would never hit a hand that could bust.
Wow.
Never. And he said, oh, well, this works for me, and I make money doing this. Wow. And the guy at the boot camp watched him play for a while, and the guy actually won. So the guy at the boot camp is saying, Colin, is that
maybe there is something to it?
He's like, I just kind of want to take, and this guy definitely had some money, the boot camper.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, I just want to take maybe $10,000 and try this.
It out. Yeah.
And it's like, you either trust the math or you don't.
Yeah. Yep.
And what if he goes with his 10,000? Yeah, you can play a horribly stupid strategy, and it might work in the short term.
Yep.
But it's like you got to trust the math. I've started to tell people, because they're either through email or occasionally at a boot camp, there will be someone that's got a superstition, and I've started to just say, prove it to me with a simulation. Yep. Prove it to me with math. Don't prove it to me with your anecdote.
Evidence, yeah.
Yeah. I don't care about your anecdote. You could double a hard 20, and 1 in 13 times it's going to work out.
Yeah.
But if you can prove it to me with a simulation, then I'll believe you. And that, it ends the conversation every time.
Yeah. I think people have this notion of, like, hey, I've come up with this new system or this discovery that nobody else thought of before, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and I think the times that it kind of does work out in the short run, I'm always like, dude, that's dangerous.
Yep.
Because it'll lead them astray in the wrong paths to eventually lose a lot of money.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and so I forget that early on, I remember having losing days and thinking, oh, I just shouldn't have played today, or something like that, and I didn't understand the math.
Yeah.
So I try to empathize with people, but also just steer them towards the reality, which is like, you're not going to find a shortcut. You're not going to come up with your own
system. Yeah.
If you come up with a system, it's going to be through simulations and computer software. It's not going to be through trial and error.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, I know that you've got a couple, maybe you could share one of your stories of APs, advantage players, or card counters helping each other out.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I posted this on the forum a while back ago, but for those that may be newer to the forum, there was a time I was playing a Southern California casino, Indian casino, and I had been backed off from there probably twice at that point. And this third time, I got backed off relatively fast, but I did have a lot of chips on me. And when they came to me, the suits there, they came to me and they asked me for ID. Obviously, I didn't yield it. And they got pretty aggressive to where they said, okay, then you got to leave and don't ever come back. And I had actually parked on the parking structure, which is actually another tip that I'll elaborate as soon as I'm done with this story. But so anyways, they're kind of blocking my way. They want me to go, quote unquote, to the office with them. And I'm just saying, you know what, I want to leave now, so please do not stop me. So essentially I had to kind of walk around them, and I walked off premise. And I'm like, crap, how am I going to get my car now?
Yeah.
Because if they really want to be jerks, they could arrest me. This is a tribal police, So I just ended up walking about a mile or two to the nearest gas station. And I was just thinking, well, now I got to wait here maybe the whole day until the next shift comes in to go get my car. But then I remember that somebody from the forum mentioned that they lived in the area.
Yeah. So
I was like, gosh, what are the chances?
Yeah.
So sure enough, I contacted this person through the forum, hoping that by sending him an IM message, he would read it and then get back to me because I didn't have his number. And sure enough, within like 30 minutes, I get a phone call.
Wow.
And he was like, hey, yeah, I got your message. He's like, I'm at the grocery store, but yeah, dude, as soon as I'm done here, I'll go get you. So I was like, wow, talk about getting a blackjack with a max bet out, right? that's kind of how I felt. And yeah, he came, and then he cashed my chips for me, and he drove me right up to my car to get my car and be able to get out of there. But this takes me to the reminder about where we park when we play. So little did I know that after the fact, and this was later, that I realized that a lot of casinos will read your plate when you enter their premise, their properties.
Yeah.
So that if this car that you have, like if you've been backed off, the safest assumption is whatever car you were driving, that car is also backed off, and they have your license plate already in the system, right? Not all casinos do this, but I say a safe assumption would be that they do. This particular one did. So when I went there like a year later, they busted me again really fast. Like I was like, man, for sure, facial recognition works, and it works good, man, because they got me before I even made a big bet. And that's when later another advantage player actually tipped me into hey, dude, they got license plate readers.
Yeah. So
you're in the system. The moment you drive in, they already have you flagged. So by the time you sit down, they're already on you. Yeah. So ever since then, if I know of a place that probably, or if you could even see them, that if they have license plate readers when you come in the parking lot, don't park there. Park either not in the parking structure, but out in the open, or find a shopping center or whatever next to the casino and park there.
Yeah, that's good for people to know. I've actually seen, I think it's in my OSN profile, a picture of the license plate of our previous car. Yep. So. Yeah, gosh, that stuff's frustrating, but it's good for people to know.
Yeah, and actually this year, I got busted that way. I was playing under an alias with my cousin's player's card that I had been backed off for some casino, and then I guess I got put in some sort of local database. And early this year, I walking into a casino, and I'm standing there back counting when I see the floor guy get a phone call. He picks up the phone, and then he does one of those things where he looks right at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, crap, I haven't even done nothing yet.
Yeah.
And sure enough, about a minute after that, a lady and two other security guards come, and she addresses me by my cousin's name. And so I already knew they were coming at me, so I said, huh? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And that kind of did throw her off a little bit because they expect you to answer by your name. So that's another thing. If they ever call you by name, never answer. Unless you're playing rated, and obviously they know. But if they're on to you and they call out like, hey, Colin, just ignore it as if you're not hearing, like they're not calling me.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I told the lady, excuse me, like, what are you talking about? And she kind of hesitated a little bit, and she was like, well, you know what? We think that you're somebody that we don't want to let play blackjack, so don't even think about it.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, who said I was going to play blackjack? So I'm not acting offended, but I'm like, just a way for me to kind of throw it off so I could leave. But anyway, so yeah, beware of license plate readers.
Well, that's cool that I know who it was that helped you out. After that back off, he'd been to a boot camp, and so he was a good guy. If you're listening, don't if you've got large amounts of money, just meet up with any stranger.
That's
even if you've met them through our forum. We haven't had a bad situation, but I always want to tell people, there could be bad apples anywhere, but
absolutely,
if it's someone that you've established a relationship with, I like that story because there just are a lot of good stories of advantage players, card counters helping each other out.
Yep.
And that's something that can make me really proud to be a part of the community, whether it's blackjack apprenticeship or just the larger community. So
I'll tell you another quick story which recently happened. So some of the guys actually on the forum, and I won't say their name, but I'm pretty sure you could make out who it was. Basically, they visit the casinos that are local to my area, and they get free play on their cards.
Yeah.
And one of the ways to use up the free play is by churning the money through the video poker machines, right? And then if they got whatever $30 in free play, the base case scenario, you hit a good streak and you're able to make some money. So, anyways, that particular night, this was actually this month. This particular night, I was at the casino, and I had churned through some of their free play through the video poker machine. And they have that each Friday they give away a car or $20,000 in cash, and all you got to do is utilize your card to play, and you're entered in the in the drawing. So I guess you can see where this is going, right? So I turn the money through, and then after I sit down and play blackjack, and midnight comes around, and they say, okay, and now for the grand prize winner of the night, the winner is... And then when they said the name, I was like, oh, that sounds awfully familiar. And I was like, oh, crap, wait a minute. That's my buddy.
Yeah.
And he's not here to claim the prize. So this was a brand new Ford Mustang or $20,000 in cash.
Oh man!
And you got 10 minutes to claim your prize. Otherwise, somebody else is going to be called.
And he's halfway across the country.
Yeah. So I'm like, man, it's like I've never won a drawing.
Yeah.
And the time that because of me it is called. It's not me who they're calling. It's my buddy who's not even here, and there's no way he's going to be here.
I can't imagine the emotions just sitting there knowing that there's $20,000 or a free card just sitting there.
Yes.
And the clock's just gonna
it's just gonna run out. There's no way. And for the time, I was like, all right, think. What can I do? Is there any? I'm just like, but bottom line, no. You gotta be pressing to win. Obviously, you gotta give your ID and I would guess your social security number. So I was like, there's no way. So,
oh man, that's painful. But there's always gonna be more EV.
Yep.
Somewhere else. So I want to ask you just a couple more questions. What has card counting taught you that's applied to your life away from the tables? Anything come to mind?
Yes, maybe a couple of things. One is that there's for things that are worthwhile, there's really no shortcuts.
Yeah.
You're gonna You're gonna have to do the heavy lifting. You're gonna have to really put in the hard work, and that applies to anything. You know, you want to, if you want to do well in whatever type of business you're on, like you got to know your stuff.
That's good.
There's no shortcuts. If somebody comes selling you a shortcut, you know, that should be a red flag indication.
Yeah.
And I guess the second thing would probably be that at the end of the day, whatever it is that you're doing, what's going to be most important than those means or that activity that you're doing is really the relationships that you develop with people.
Yeah.
And realize that, you know, at the end of the day, that dealer that is dealing across from me, like, she's a mother, you know, she's a daughter, she has a family, and she's trying to find a way to survive.
Yeah.
And, you know, advantage players that we have community with, you know, they're people too. You know, they might have different struggles in life that we can relate to, and at the end of the day, it's just the importance of building those relationships and realizing that those relationships are ultimately more important than blackjack or ultimately than money, right? Because I doubt that when we're in our deathbed, if we get the privilege of being in the deathbed, that we're going to be like, you know what? I really wish I would have stayed when the count was at that particular point and made a couple extra $100. You know, that's not going to be. At least I would hope that's not going to be what is going to go through our mind. But more like, man, like I really enjoyed the relationships I had with my family, with my friends, with my community. So I think ultimately that's more important. And blackjack is just a means to that end of creating genuine relationships.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's just so important. I agree. You know, when I look back, my regrets aren't playing another hour or placing another bet or anything like that. My regrets are maybe dehumanizing people in a casino.
Yep.
I don't really remember ever being mean, but you know, maybe just seeing the dealer or the pit boss just maybe dehumanizing them and not
they're just sort of like a machine that's dealing to me. So just hurry up. Like, I don't want to talk to you. And I'm not going to tip you, right?
Yeah. And I want to be, you know, kind of, I want to treat people in a casino the way I would treat someone at a grocery store.
Correct.
Or treat, you know, treat any other human being. So I think that's really, really important, and I appreciate you sharing that.
Yep.
We got one other question. Are you willing to share your recipe for carne asada?
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually relatively easy because I've seen this elaborate schemes of how to marinate. So for those that don't know, I cooked for the boot campers a couple of times, I think.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, it has been a good response.
Oh yeah, it's always a huge treat and delicious and really fun.
Yeah. So basically, the important thing here is to get a particular type of meat, which in Spanish is called ranchera, and in English it's basically the flat meat or skirt steak sometimes they call it. So it's got to be that meat in order for it to be the good stuff. And then you marinate it with orange juice, seasoned salt, and garlic salt. That's it. Now, as to the amounts, I don't know. You just gotta fill it out, right? So I guess the secret really is in the amount of each of those three things. But that's basically it.
Start experimenting with that.
It'll be better if you let it marinate overnight. But if not, you know, half hour is fine. Yeah.
Okay. So basic strategy is overnight. But if you need to deviate and just have a shorter marinade,
20-30 minutes is fine.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and sharing from your own experiences and your own wisdom as a card counter and an advantage player and just as a friend. It's always an incredible honor and a good time when you hang out at a boot camp or you know, whenever we get together, our families get together, or we get an opportunity to hang out. So thanks for sharing, and
thank you.
Yeah. And if you guys want to, you can read some more of HitA7's stories. There's a really fun one of when he got to meet Max Rubin when he got backed off.
Verona.
And then the story they referenced earlier about someone helping him out, and he's on the forum, and so you can read more there, or he's a good guy, so I'm sure if you reached out to him, he would say hello back through the forum. And that's going to be it. If you want to learn more about card counting and beating casinos for money, you can check out Blackjack Apprenticeship. We've got video course, we've got drills, we've got an awesome forum that I'm really proud of. We've got podcasts and a bunch of other stuff. So you guys can check it out. And that's all.
All right. Thank you.